governance meeting for Ulster County IDA. It's November 20th, 9 a.m. May I please call to order the meeting for Ulster County Industrial Development Agency. The mission of the Ulster County Industrial Development Agency is to advance the job opportunities, general prosperity, and long-term economic vitality of Ulster County residents by targeting tax incentives, bonding, and other assistance to foster creation and attraction of business and the retention and expansion of existing business. May I have everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You can come in.
We'll do a quick roll call. Costa Wahal present. Ms. Rachel Sirleman.
President.
Mr. Stephen Kelly.
Present.
Thank you. We have a quorum. May I please have Steve and Rachel have you review the minutes, and perhaps we can look to approve those from October 16th meeting, please.
Approved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I don't believe we have any public comments on agenda items.
The public is thin today.
Yeah, maybe they'll come. And I don't believe we need an executive session. The main topic of discussion is to review the changes, which I believe Steve and Rachel, you would have received from the email that Hillary sent.
Yep.
There are not any differences except for changing one language, which Chris can go over, and our counsel, or Joe. And after that, once we're okay with that, if we are okay, we can vote, and then I'd like to see if we can go for a recommendation to the full board. If everything needs a few minutes, and Chris and Joe.
Yeah.
All right, sorry.
Because of my history on the project around this matter. So if you go to page 6 of the materials, and that's at the top, it says, well, I guess it's on to be accurate, on the left-hand side, the uniform tax exemption matrix. So that's the matrix that has been the subject of discussion for multiple meetings, and the only changes to that document are, if you go to the next page, there were brackets under the second column with respect to the job numbers there, 2 to 5, 6 to 10, and 11 plus. So I eliminated the brackets. And then in discussing this with Hillary, if you go to the column that's entitled Environmental Sustainability, we modified that language in the third row. The fourth row of that table. Use of HCR environmental building standards. So that's the only substantive change to what I did to prepare for this meeting, because the balance of the documents, the uniform tax exemption policy, which begins on page 8, and the housing policy of the IDA, which begins on page 21, all I did with respect to those two policies, existing policies of the IDA, was incorporate cross-references. To give you an example, if you go to page 10 of the materials, and again, this is just by way of example, if you look at the bottom of page 10, there's language in new paragraph 2, number 2. It says application of abatement schedules. And if you go to B, under that item, it talks about how the abatement schedule is applied for housing. One where, with respect to the market housing portion of the project, the abatement schedule moves, or the abatement, the amount of exemption follows the abatement schedule. But with respect to the affordable units, and that's in 2i, it stays at that one level for the term of the pilot agreement, which was attached or included at the end of the matrix that So again, all I did was lift language from the matrix and drop it into those two policies. So with that, I'll open it up for any comments or questions.
I don't have any questions. However, I'll just point out the HCR change was something that we wanted to make because we received comments from the executive of the county and also planning board chair that we should be consistent in what we're following as a county. Other than that, I don't have anything to point out either.
I would move that we accept this policy and forward on to the full board for consideration and approval.
Second, I agree.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. So council will move forward and recommend to the full board that we would like to accept this. Thank you. Unless there are any other questions or any other discussion topics, I don't have anything on old business. Any new business from anybody? I don't have anything. No? All right. We can call this meeting to adjourn if I have a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you very much. Meeting adjourned. I'll quickly now call the governance committee meeting for Ulster County Capital Resource Corporation. Mission remains the same, and we have Ms. Rachel Silverman
Present.
and Mr. Stephen Kelly, and Costa Bahal is here as well. If I may please request the approval of minutes,
So moved.
subsequent review. Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Don't believe we have a public comment today. Executive session we don't need. Old business, we would like to strike what's there because the changes and other aspects of the policy don't apply here. We don't have any new business, so may I please seek a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Thank you. Meeting has been adjourned. I will close now and hand it over to Chair Mike Ham to open the next meeting.
You missed the best part of the meeting.
I was gonna say,
We want to save you time.
had to do, you gotta take the stairs.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah, man.
Oh, that's right.
You gotta take them down, you gotta take them up. No, the elevator works, but there's 185 people.
Yeah,
down
waiting.
there.
Oh, my God, wow.
Yeah.
I just came down out the door, Joe, and you were going to get on the elevator.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I tried the stairs, because I got tired of the crowd.
Yeah, that was
The
great.
door was locked.
Great.
And to do that, to make sure that
And then
you're
I got
suffering
the-
through the crowd.
I got to my car and I have no glasses in my car.
Yeah, you did?
Oh, you don't? You want to try these?
Nah, I can wing it.
I didn't hear
Sure.
what you said. No,
Wing
I-
it.
All right. I'm gonna have to change mine.
Yeah.
We're live streaming, just so everyone knows.
Okay. The meeting of the UCIDA on November 20th here, and it is 9:10. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call. Michael Ham, present. Rachel Silverman,
Present.
Stephen Kelly,
Present.
Joseph Ferraro,
Present.
Randall Leverett,
Present.
Trevor Kerwin,
Present.
and Costa Walla.
Present.
Thank you very much. We have a quorum. Mission statement. The mission statement of the Ulster County Industrial Development Agency is to advance the job opportunities, general prosperity, and long-term economic vitality of Ulster County residents by targeting tax incentives, bonding, and other assistance to foster creation and attraction of new businesses and the retention and expansion of existing business. In front of you, you will have the minutes from the October 16th meeting. Please review them, and I'll entertain a motion to accept.
Move to accept.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Public comment on agenda items only. Nothing? Okay. Executive session. No need for executive session today. Chair's report. Once again, we're continuing to move ahead. We have potential clients coming forward. We're excited. I don't want to steal the thunder from our Rachel.
Hillary.
I'm sorry, from Hillary, our executive director. But she'll go into a little more detail on what we have coming up. I continue to work good with the board. I thank everybody for all the cooperation moving ahead. All right. So, Hillary, we'll go to your report.
All right, thank you, Michael. So, this month really flew by, and I want to try to make this brief because we have a large agenda in front of us, but I wanted to give everyone an update. The IDA continues to be present and available in our community. We attend events, Chamber of Commerce. I don't know if any of you are following what the county is doing. They have like a big push, kind of this Participate Ulster. They have a lot of studies going on, and many of them kind of cross into economic development activities. They have the arts and culture, climate committee. So we've been out trying to attend these, kind of get a sense of what's going on just outside of our IDA world, and that's been really helpful. And as things kind of come out of that, we'll make sure to share those reports with the board. We'll do the logo last, but I want to talk briefly about projects. We really feel like that kind of iceberg is starting to break up a little bit, and we have several projects that are really gaining traction, and so we look forward genuinely to bringing those to you in the coming months. Typically, we walk our projects through a few initial meetings with council. We do a pre-screen committee before things come to the board for a vote or to go out for public hearing. And so you may be hearing from the chair as those developments move forward. So we really look forward to kind of seeing some stuff get off the ground. Talking about Paris, I know it's only November, but we are gearing up for Paris. Our annual report letters are all set to go out on the 1st, pending. We want to make sure our new logo is on everything, so we're excited about that. Those reports, for those of you who are new, projects that are currently receiving incentives from the IDA are required to report all of their job numbers, make sure they have all their proper insurance, that their pilot payments have been made, all by January 31st. So with that annual reporting comes site visits. So again, for those of you who are new, board members are asked to do 2 site visits a year to see the project. It's really a great opportunity to get out there, see what the work of the IDA has done, and to make sure that, we're face to face with projects, we know what's going on, and also be a resource. So last year being my first year, we were a little all over the place. We did manage to get many site visits done, but maybe not in as organized a fashion as I would have liked. So recognizing that there's no one-size-fits-all solution to kind of coordinating that for everyone, I'm going to probably send out just an email. If you could let me know if you would prefer for us to make the appointments for you, or if you would just like the contact information and go ahead and you'll be the one to schedule the appointment. So I know for some people it's easier when we do it, and for some of you, you have very busy schedules and it may be easier for you just to directly do it. So once you pick something, we're going to kind of ask you to stick to it, and we'll support you in any way. But I know our board chair would also really like to see members get those site visits done. So
Are we gonna assign, or how are we gonna, so we
So I
don't
think
all pick the same 2?
yeah.
And then
So once I know what everyone wants, then we'll assign. So if you're saying, hey, just give me my 2 places and I'm going to work around my schedule and I'll set them up, and Randall says, no, please do this for me, then we'll make sure there's no duplication. But I want to know what way works best for members, since I know most of you are very busy.
And listen, we can't put it all on the back of the executive director here, okay? Because I know she did a lot. I did a bunch last year. And, we got a little lost in the shuffle here, and people weren't, following through. So, like Hillary said, it's always a great opportunity to go on out and see these businesses that we're partnering with, and to see what they're really all about.
So, we want to just make it as easy as possible. And so knowing that everyone has different schedules and lives, we want to be flexible to do what works best for you and not assume that what works best for one is going to work best for everyone. So.
The ideal timing of these visits is when?
Well, we want to get them done before the annual report, which is due in March. But we usually present the final findings of the annual report by the March meeting, which will be like the third Wednesday. So
the first 2 months of the year is
Yeah.
ideal.
ideal. That's
And you can look demographically too. There's projects up there in Saugerties on that end, Joe, that'll help you there. For Steve, there's projects down below in Ellenville, Randall, New Paltz,
Yep.
so on and
Just
so
give me
forth.
two
And it's
and
out by you
I'll
guys.
have my assistant
You know.
rules my life through the
Yeah.
calendar, figure it out.
figure it out for you. Exactly. And we know everyone is different. So, I don't want to feel like I'm hounding people because I know you're busy and feel like, oh, here she
I'll do
is
that.
again. Be sending me another email. So,
Just give me a couple of them, kind of to the south. I live in.
Perfect.
Near New Paltz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's-
The
there's-
ones that Randall would do that would be convenient for him.
Well, I don't have to go to Woodland Pond, that's for sure.
there you go. Yeah.
That's right.
I was there last year. It was a really wonderful way to see what some long-term, retirement options are in our county. So
That's a great place.
yeah, really, really fascinating. Okay, so that's where we're at on Paris. We look forward to really having a smooth, streamlined Paris this year. I wanted to just give a brief update on the task force. I know it's kind of part of governance, but I thought I would just include it here. Our task force is continuing to go strong. Trevor and I met most recently on the 7th, really just to discuss kind of benchmark where we're at, hone in on some of the findings, and depending on our next governance committee meeting, we should be prepared to report out at that meeting. We held a focus group here on the 21st. That was very successful. We had about, I think, 18 people in attendance, a wide variety of stakeholders from across the county giving us feedback that we found really helpful. And so now we've kind of collected all of this information. So we're just looking to put it in a format that, is kind of digestible and serves the purpose of governance's work on, kind of looking at environmental policies within our UTEP. So lastly, in your packet, you should have the logo. So we met twice in person with Kingston Creative and once over Zoom. In our contract, we were contracted to get 3 draft logos, which you will find in front of you. And these come with some color schemes, some different applications of ways that the logo can be used. It kind of runs the gamut. The one thing that I really did kind of push was to have it contained in a shape, because one of the things that we found is trying to size the county. If it's not done correctly, it gets this like really long nose sometimes. So we just wanted something that we had to make it bigger or shrink it down, that it would size really nicely within whatever format we were trying to use. But other than that, I'm happy to walk anyone through it or get feedback that you have and the direction that you want to go. If you don't like any of these,
We love all 3.
I was gonna say,
choose
it's
from one of the
$500
3.
for each now revision.
Yes.
And we would need to get that approved by the board in order to have any more revisions. So I'll take any.
I'll use my opinion is I reviewed them. I do like the one with the new roundout bridge in it on, that would be the last one on 3. I think it looks good. And I noticed on that page too. So these are all different,
Ways to
things
use
we
the
could utilize?
color palette. So
Okay.
this would be like a color palette. Let's say we were doing like a PowerPoint. We could utilize these colors within the PowerPoint. And then depending on what you're trying to put the logo on, these are just different ways you could apply it using the color scheme. So, and then once we pay the last, and the final payment, they'll release all of these PDFs, give us the names of all the fonts and the colors that they've used, and we'll get all of that from them.
thoughts,
So,
concerns, questions?
I personally like the first one.
The shovel?
The
The shovel?
You like the shovel?
I think it's,
You know, at first I didn't, believe it or not, so.
because you're in the
Art
business.
guy, right? Yeah, you know what? I looked and I go, what is that hanging there? You know, and I go, shovel. Figure I would recognize the shovel. I didn't know what it was.
You're too far from.
You know what?
I do like the third one and the second one more. I did think about the shovel, but I'll say it, the third one seems more like there's a pathway to going somewhere. Shovel is more about we're just digging.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you know, I got to tell you, I like the third one for like I said, my opinion is I like the coloring on it and it looks very industrial. So, you know, I'm good with that.
that's nice.
I like them all. I was actually leaning towards the shovel because when you use the logo on a whole bunch of things,
Mm-hmm.
you have to think about what the pieces of the logo are going to look like reproduced. And both bridge images have a lot of detail
They
in
do,
them.
yeah.
Yep.
And so we run the risk of, if it's in a PowerPoint or on a piece of paper and it's very small,
You
picture
take the
that logo
logo.
very small, it just can look like a blob.
Mhm.
Or embroidered on something or printed on something. So at least this big and colorful, it looks great.
It's clear.
But
Yeah.
use-wise, I would want to make sure we don't lose that and then
It's less busy.
and then it looks like a
That's-
shadow. So
Yeah.
that's why I was leaning towards the shovel. Not that I don't love this one. I just,
Yeah, I like them all, but I think the shovel,
that was my concern.
Okay.
I
So,
didn't like any of them.
yep.
No, I agree with you when you.
There's a charge for that, Steve.
Let's go through the group really quick. Joe?
So I like all three. The problem I had with the two with the bridges is I was trying to figure out in my mind what message I'm trying to send. Where I think the shovel, to me, sends a more direct message of
Okay.
what the IDA is all about. We're helping you put a shovel in the ground. We're
Yep.
helping you get off the ground. That's why I like.
Makes
the shovel.
sense?
That's where the shovel was their first, revision or first draft
Yeah.
that they gave us with the idea that we're creating.
I think that's the first one I seen.
Yeah, that is.
That's the one that lost
first
me,
one.
the one at the top.
Yeah, I like the middle,
Yeah, that's the one that kind of lost me right
Yeah,
there.
this one,
Steve, I know you're
hate them all.
Yeah.
debating with yourself on all three.
I am. So I thought that of the three, I like the one that you like, except I think it looks like the Mid-Hudson Bridge and not the bridge that it is. And I think everyone will confuse it as being us
From a guy
getting
that
over
builds
to
bridges,
Dutchess County. We
that
don't
bridge
want
is-
that.
That bridge is nothing like the newly renovated Word Street Bridge.
So I
Of
think I would go
historic
with a
value.
shovel.
Which one do you like, the shovel?
I would go with a shovel.
Okay. Randall,
Shovel.
shovel. Costu,
Third one.
third. Trev?
I would say the third.
Okay. Rach? You're it.
You get to make the,
You're
you get
the-
to-
You're it.
the deciding
would
vote.
just-
Deciding vote.
Oh my gosh.
no pressure, but
I think shovel.
Shovel.
All right.
Shovel
It's been
has it.
What'd you
decided.
pick?
Huh?
What did you pick?
I like the bridge.
Third one.
Yeah, I like the bridge.
All right.
You know?
I liked them all.
great one.
I thought they had great.
But I do. I like them all.
Yeah, I was
Good.
not when he gave me this one. I
You know
was
what?
not as much of a fan.
I
felt
did
it
this
was
wrong.
very busy.
Steve should have been the deciding vote.
Yeah, that's
Steve
right.
should have been the guy. Because you were like on the fence on all three, you know?
well,
You went
you
along
also
with
on my comments, I thought
Yeah.
that, that
Okay.
there was a bridge, it should be like a little Monet bridge.
So let me ask you this question before we go any further, because this, I don't think this is a heavy lift, but I don't want to put words in their mouth. But is everybody like the outside dimensions of the shovel? Or would you prefer it in a circle, or would it be,
So.
is it relevant to the
Oh.
way they did that?
Hexagon versus circle.
Yeah.
So we can have them again.
Not
I
for-
can ask not for $500, but I did get in one of their first.
I'll put it on my
markup things,
AutoCAD before I do that.
some different shovels, like different drawings of shovels, because this one.
No, let's not beat a dead horse. I mean, if everybody's good with this, let's move ahead with
I
it.
can ask if they can just put it in a circle.
I just had a question. If everybody was comfortable with that design, with the outside, everything, and we're good, and that's
I'll
it.
be fine either way.
Okay.
Me too.
I'm fine either way. I think the most important thing is that we have a logo that everyone's comfortable with that can represent us to the community. That's my biggest, that is easy to use.
Okay, we just, and getting to Rachel's point, when we put this down onto a PowerPoint, as long as we don't lose like any of the wording, the verbiage on here. Because I think
Right.
that's going to be
It'll be
eliminated
You
immediately.
probably would use one of these
Correct.
as the logo
These-
on
yeah.
the PowerPoint.
Yeah, I think
It's
once
the
the
big
logo's
thing.
out, you can
Right? This is on
adapt all
the
that.
cover.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, well, that's why they're giving
Okay.
it us.
that'll be our brand.
And the other thing is, and we can talk about this later because I know, we have a big day, but the Shaping the Future, we just threw that out there to fill in like a tagline, but we can decide if that's the tagline we want to go with. That was really just.
And I would
filler.
suggest if any of these board members, if you go to get a tattoo of this or anything, you probably want to use the basic one, okay? Not the one with the words on it, okay?
Not the gradient.
So, yeah, just use the shovel with the backdrop.
All right, so we're good with the shovel. We will go ahead and
Do
finish
we
up
need
our.
to, do you need a
content.
motion
Oh, we need a
to?
motion.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's
do
do
the
it.
motion.
Yeah, let's get a
We weren't
motion.
sure if it was motionable, but.
So how about, can I get a motion to accept the first page with the shovel
So
as the
moved.
logo?
So moved.
Seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Look at you, Hillary. You get to run with all your new paperwork.
I'm
now.
excited.
Nice
We've
job
been-
on the logo. That's
Good
not
job.
easy to do.
Yeah, good job.
Well, I didn't do it, and I'm sure the guy was
moved it.
very frustrated with me by the end.
Actually, Hillary,
Then you were doing it right,
Yeah,
frankly.
exactly. That means you're doing it right.
yeah.
All right, so that is all I have
Joe
on my
knows.
end. If anyone has any other thoughts, questions on stuff going on. All
Okay.
right,
We'll move into committee reports, audit. Steve?
The Loki Grill report starts on page 7 and goes to page 8. And then we have on page 9, the active projects and the upcoming projects. And I don't have any comment besides those reports.
just so everyone knows that Innis is completed construction, so that final report will be available. It'll be housed in the office at the moment, and we'll make sure that any documentation that needs to get done is done. They're waiting on a few of the final reports, I guess, or what are they like? Certificate of occupancies or
Yeah,
something.
CO.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that is project has finished construction.
Okay.
So we will be coming off your Loki Grill reports.
Okay, thank you. Finance, Rachel?
Thanks, Mike. So finance, we have two things. The first is approving the minutes from the finance committee meeting. So if I can get a motion from any of the other three who were in attendance.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Thank you both.
All in favor?
Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
And then second, we have, I don't know, Hillary, if you want to
Sure.
share the update and our negotiations for the audit.
So at our last meeting, everyone felt pretty comfortable wanting to move ahead with continuing to use PKF O'Connor Davies as our accounting firm and asked that we reach out to them to see if, we had any wiggle room on the price. So we attached their response to that question. Basically, I had to do a little research, and the GASB, which stands for like government, accounting something. Anyway, it's a 123-page document. I will be honest, I did not read the entire thing, but apparently there are some changes that is being made to that document that is impacting the fees and is why they're saying they really can't come down on these fees. But as you'll notice, they kind of kept them relatively flat over the 3-year period, and then broke out the cost to the IDA versus the cost to the CRC, which again, right now, we did it as a cost sharing, so that total cost, the CRC is only paying 5% of that. With this, the CRC can pay its own individual cost for its audit, which then in some way lessens the expense to the IDA. So if you'd like to move forward with this, just let me know, or I can reach out to any of the other audit firms that replied.
Make a
And
motion.
Yeah,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thanks.
who seconded it? Sorry.
Costa.
That is it for finance.
That's it. Thank you, Rachel. Governance, Costu.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks, everyone. So I'll just quickly point out two things. We've been working pretty hard on a few matters, one being the task force formation and what Trevor and Hillary have been doing. There was a session where, unexpectedly to me, there were a large number of people who were quite interested in understanding what's going on. And after the session, I heard a lot of favorable responses from different groups of people. So that was very good. I'm looking forward to seeing more in terms of the outcomes and decisions that we make and the research. More importantly, today, we wanted to talk about the housing matrix and the housing UTEP and the policy amendments. So governance committee has met quite a few times on this matter. We have reviewed the matter in depth. We have worked with council, and all three of us, Rachel Silverman, Mr. Stephen Kelly, and myself, believe that we would like to recommend to the full board a resolution approving certain amendments to the uniform tax exempt policy and housing projects policy of the Ulster County Industrial Development Agency. And if there are any questions and details, we're happy to answer, but we have Joe, our counsel, who can take it from here perhaps.
Sure. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you.
If you go to page 14, and again, I'm more than happy to review the details of the housing matrix and the amendments to the conforming amendments to the UTEP and the housing policy that we talked about approximately 20 minutes ago during governance. But what wasn't in front of you during the governance committee meeting is the resolution that actually approves the amendments. And again, I'm speaking on this, not Chris, because of my good or bad long history with the organization on working through housing issues. But the resolution is something that Chris was the primary draftsman on because he's been working on UTEP amendments with several other of our IDA clients. And so what I want to do is just point out a couple of things in the resolution. The resolution starts on page 14, but if you go to page 16, what I want to point out to you is that there was a process, a public process. This was a transparent manner, a procedure by the IDA. We held a public hearing. The chair chaired the public hearing. And Chris actually attended the public hearing, and that's described at the bottom of page 3, the printed page 3 of the resolution, page 16 of the materials. And then attached to the end of the resolution are the materials that I reviewed during the governance committee meeting, namely the matrix, which will be posted, and then the amendments to the UTEP, or the full body of the UTEP and the full body of the housing policy, which, as I indicated during the governance committee meeting, had conforming changes, cross references to the matrix, the housing matrix. So when you go onto the IDA website, and we've discussed this process with Hillary, you'll have the UTEP posted, you'll have the housing policy posted, there'll be the normal IDA for normal projects matrix, and then we'll have a matrix for housing projects. And that really is what's approved by the resolution. And with that, I'll open it up for any comments or questions.
Do the hearing that was held in October, do we still do transcripts or those don't?
We did it at the public hearing.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there is a transcript
There's
from,
transcript.
Yep.
so can I get a copy of that when, not today, but,
I haven't seen the copy yet from the company.
We have it.
Okay.
yeah, because I'd like to see those, because I was at a.
Yeah, we only had the.
Do we live stream them too? I mean,
Yes,
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
have
it's
it.
on the-
I'd probably
it's on the
like to
website.
read it.
We only had one speaker really, and, well, two. We had the county executive and Dennis Doyle from planning.
Right.
That's it. And then we opened it up for, what we get, 15 days for public comment if they had to write anything in.
Written comment, and we did receive written comment from the City of Kingston mayor and the
Dan Baker.
assessor, and that was I put it in the last meeting, one of one of the meetings, all of those comments
letters.
were included. Yeah.
Did you get a copy of those?
It was the last meeting. So we had
It was at the last meeting.
We'll get you over copies of everything. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was out of
You know, problem.
The other question that I have is, you did indicate that in our meeting in September that you had been talking to ABO about these changes, right? That you had talked to about housing. Is that correct?
Well, I think what I
I think it was Chris. I don't think it was.
I think,
You mentioned that you had talked to ABO about
yeah,
doing housing and.
yeah, so I didn't specifically talk to the ABO with respect to this project, but traditionally, for years, the ABO had some questions about doing housing under the IDA statute. They've since come around and openly discussed in different meetings and different conferences that, they're, I don't know if it's fine is the right word, but they understand this is something that IDA can do under their powers. They suggest adding certain things like a housing policy, which is exactly what this idea is talking about. So, from my perspective, and I think Joe's perspective as well, the ABO is comfortable with these projects going forward.
So then my question is, would it be good to cover our rears with getting a advisory opinion from them
Oh, they'll
on
never give
on
that.
that? They
They'll
won't
never
give that?
No.
what we do, and your question's a good one, Randall, and this is something that Chris and I have discussed extensively, and what we do with our other IDA clients that do housing projects is that when you have a housing project here, you'll see as one of the resolutions that you'll consider a resolution that makes a finding that the housing project is an IDA project.
Correct.
And there'll be things that we'll pull out, excerpt from the application that will support that finding. And with the whole idea being that as a governmental entity, you're subject to challenge on your determinations, but you're subject to challenge only if you're being arbitrary and capricious. And and I think this is what other law firms do throughout the state, is that we make sure that we have a robust set of findings and determinations with respect to a particular project, including a housing project, so that if anyone raises their hand, whether it's a disgruntled taxpayer or a regulator, we can say, look, we didn't do this on the back of a cocktail napkin. We have support in the application, we have support in the resolution, and there are times when we actually go out to a third-party consultant and have them make do a study of the housing project to support the conclusion that it's a commercial project and that therefore it fits within the IDA statute. So there'll be things that we'll be doing to address those issues so that it's all buttoned up nicely.
Okay. Projected new permanent full-time jobs created, retained 2 to 5, 6 to 10, 11 plus. Where do we envision those jobs coming from in a housing project?
Well, that's why there's a range.
Mixed use, I
Yeah.
think was the.
So essentially what would happen is, are we saying that the building is, or if it's mixed use, it's going to be under or 33 and a third? Is that the number? So if the larger portion of the building is housing, as we do with any industrial project, we can't induce retail type things, right? Unless it's less than 33 and a third percent. So,
Or it meets one of the exceptions.
right, okay, so what would those exceptions be?
So the exceptions are that the service being provided is not reasonably accessible to anyone in that community. And the other exception is if the housing project or the project in general is in a distressed tract under the Census Bureau.
Mhm.
So it's based on poverty levels. So if you fit into one of those two categories, you're accepted from the retail prohibition.
So we are expecting that any housing that is done is going to be in a census tract.
Well, that would
area.
only apply if a portion of the housing project was retail, right?
Right.
If the retail component wasn't in there at all, you wouldn't have to go down that road.
Right. and then.
But it could be mixed use, it could be a commercial office space,
Right.
and that wouldn't be retail,
Right,
you know?
okay.
Which I think is, so far has been the norm out here when they do mixed use right now. That's the norm is commercial space. So,
Well, is Kingstonian like that?
yeah, I don't see any, any bakeries or anything like that popping up on the bottom of these. But I'm not saying, I'm not ruling that out. So, once again, I think that leads back to us defining the project and getting it out for everybody.
What we have is a lot of flexibility in the matrix, based on what,
Mhm.
what you may or may not see. If the point is, and maybe I'm going a far field here, if the point is that most housing projects don't generate directly jobs, you're absolutely correct. There's usually a manager, a janitor, that sort of stuff. So you'll probably be more likely in the first row for any housing project.
Yeah, no,
But Hillary makes a great point with mixed use, and, Chris talks about retail, because that might be one of the elements in the mixed use project.
Right.
But what we have here is a policy, a matrix that is intended to cover whatever comes down the pike.
no,
I think we've got it.
no,
Yeah.
well, you know where I am on
I do.
this generally.
I do, yes.
I just don't think it's something that,
But you don't hate housing.
no, I don't,
Just want to make that point.
I agree that, philosophically, that the county needs to do more things with housing,
Correct.
but philosophy doesn't necessarily translate into economic policy. But I also think about, in doing this, we put the agency in the position of gentrifying particular areas, which then creates pressure for, when you get new assessments and so on and so forth, with all this new development and so on and so forth. What ultimately happens is that you then have people who are living in areas that are not in those particular buildings. You have new assessments, the rents on those places go up. Those people then have to move out of an area that they've lived. There are just lots of things that just don't sit well with me, because I just don't think
Hey, that's okay.
I'm sorry, I can't, I've got the point I want to make to that is, number one, and I'm speaking for my partner here, probably 50% of the housing projects he's done over the last 5 years have been low-income housing projects. So not gentrification, but low-income housing projects.
So is that our anticipation here?
Well, who knows, right? And the next item is that you've addressed, to the best that you can, the gentrification issue by having an affordable housing component in the matrix. So,
Right.
And a fairly broad one.
Yep.
No, I just don't think this is what the agency should be doing, but if that's where you all want to go, that's,
Okay.
But
All right.
All right.
did
Well,
we
thank you, Randall.
did we incorporate tax growth, tax? Never mind.
No, I know. You listen. Everything you're going to talk about is going to come out. We're going to be discussing if we get a project coming our way that's associated with, according to these amendments. We're going to be into the woods, as you know, and you've experienced here before on this board. Everything is a living, breathing document, and you know what? We're gonna move ahead. We're going to take a vote. But we got to move ahead, because economic development is going to walk hand in hand with housing. You don't have a place to put these people. There's no sense of even trying to bring an industrial job to this area. I mean,
I
I'm
get it, but I will,
I'm beating a dead
right.
horse.
But I will tell you, in my experience in doing these, I've never seen one report or one study that says that a business moves to a community because it has housing. It is always, they can sell their,
I don't know
they
when
can
that
sell their,
report was
they can
generated,
sell
because
their products.
I
They're
watched
looking for,
businesses walk away.
they're looking for skilled labor or cheap labor.
We don't have neither anymore.
Well,
That's the
yeah.
problem, Randall. The problem is that companies are looking for labor. labor needs a place to live. So it all meshes together.
No, it does.
Okay,
I
so
agree.
you have to have it all.
Do you
Yeah.
agree then?
No,
No, he
what
doesn't agree, and that's fine. I
No,
respect his
no, what I'm,
opinion.
what I'm,
So, all right, I'll tell you what, before we're gonna move along, I appreciate everybody's comment, okay? But, at this time, I want to entertain a motion to accept the resolution on the amendments to the Uniform Tax Exempt Policy and Housing Project Policy.
So moved.
Second.
Second, okay, can I get a roll call vote, please? Let me go to my page. Michael Ham, yes. Rachel Silverman,
Yes.
Stephen Kelly,
Yes.
Joseph Ferraro,
Yes.
Randall Everett,
no.
Trevor Kerwin,
Yes.
and Costu Bala.
Yes.
Okay. The motion is carried, okay? All right. Costu, anything else?
Nothing on this. I would just thank everybody for working really hard and for quite some time on this. It did take us some time, and as you said, Chair, just like everything we do, it's living and breathing. So as we see things that we need to change or modify, we would love to do that and entertain that as well. But this is a good step forward.
Okay, yeah, and I also want to thank everybody on their hard work on this. You guys put a lot of time and effort into this, and I appreciate everybody's comments coming in on this, okay? Because everybody has a nice perspective on stuff, and we've got to talk to each other. You know,
No, I
so-
think it's honestly, I think it's a laudable thing. I think the
Yeah.
county and everybody else needs to do something about housing. I just don't think that
And once again,
this is the mechanism.
you know,
So,
we've always
that's
said
all.
here, right? We've said we're not the entity to solve the housing crisis, but we're here to assist. And that's what it's going to come down to. I mean, we don't have $50 million laying around to just build our own stuff, you know, and sublease it out.
Well, I would like to see projects that aren't so focused on Kingston, because there are other areas. in
Oh,
this
no,
county
no, I don't think that's going to be the
that-
case. I think,
that-
I
and
agree with that.
that,
yeah,
you
I
know,
agree. I
Ellen-
agree wholeheartedly with
Ellenville,
that statement.
Ellenville.
Yes.
Platic Hill, Highland. I mean,
Shandaken, you name it.
Yeah,
It's going to come.
Saugerties. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I do, or I don't want this agency to be the economic development offshoot for the city of Kingston, because it is not the only place that
Well,
exists in
That's
this
why we didn't
county.
use their bridge.
Yeah, well,
I will say, Randall, just so everyone knows, I do track all the inquiries to the IDA, and the majority of them are not Kingston.
and the other question that I have is that I know that the city of Kingston has created their own local development
They have.
corporation, and that they were talking about doing their own pilots.
That's correct.
So the other thing that is of issue to me is double dipping.
You know,
So I don't want, at the end of the day, and I know that I said this during our orientation, that I think that to some degree we are, as a public authority, also accountable to taxpayers. And you sort of said, I don't think that's totally correct, because it was a question that you posed
One
when
of the
I.
board members, I do remember. that.
Yeah,
One of the board members.
and I do believe that we are, I mean, and I think we exist because I think when they created this statute, I think they wanted to remove these kinds of things out of politics and to put average people sitting around the table making decisions that impact where other people live. So I try to come at this from that perspective. And we're about as average as you get, kind of, sort of, because other people are, working, and, we can afford to sit here and debate these things. But I also want us to be able to think about those people who get up every day, feed and house and clothe their children, and potentially are impacted by the things that we do. And it is not just about bringing the businesses in with total disregard for how it impacts the people who live, work, and raise their children and their families in this county. So,
All right, thanks. Okay, so, moving ahead. Old business, okay? Statues of pending projects. Chris?
Sure, thanks, Chair. Pending transaction list, no changes on that front. Pending enforcement, 300 Grant Avenue. You recall this relates to the termination of the pilot. Documents have been signed by the IDA and the company. I believe the IDA has now been paid their fee. A certain law firm has not been paid their fee as of yet. So we are contacted their attorney to let them know that as soon as we get that payment, the IDA will release their termination pages.
We're also waiting on their annual report back.
Correct.
how much is the fee?
7,500, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're waiting on that one. Woodland Pond, you recall that we were contacted by company counsel. The company had begun to create a new facility next to the existing facility, which was on the pilot. Wanted to know how that would work with the existing pilot. We directed them to talk directly to the assessor, and we would assist as we saw fit. So they're okay on that one. Kingstonian, I don't want to steal Joe's thunder on the upcoming resolution being considered, but this relates to a 2-year extension of certain milestones under the documents, including the sales tax exemption, the completion date. So we will prepare the draft modification should the board move forward with adopting that resolution, prepare the draft modification documents and work with the company and their counsel to make sure those are all set.
The Woodland Pond
Yep.
item, we did bonding for them.
We did.
You did.
And the pilot that they had nothing to do with the agency. It was something, to
Right.
my degree, it was
Correct.
between the
Yeah.
village, town, and them. So, I mean, to some degree, that,
That's why we turned them around and said, go
That's
back and talk.
Exactly.
right, so
what we
that's
said.
something they have to work out, right? Okay.
Pending enforcements, we just covered, right?
So
Okay, new business. Okay, Kingston modification agreements on, Joe?
Thanks, Chair. This resolution is on page 41 of your materials. And this is a repeat of what we did approximately 2 years ago. At that time, we extended milestones with respect to the payment of fees, completions, pilot start date, et cetera. And those modifications were agreed to 2 years ago because the company, as anyone who reads the Daily Freeman knows, has been under substantial bouts of litigation with respect to the project. The company came back to us, reached out to Hillary. I met with Hillary and representatives from the project applicant, and they indicated that litigation matters are all resolved. They're putting together, a finance team, a development team, et cetera, but that's all in the preliminary stages. They need an additional modification. We told them that we'd at least consider it, but they need to go back to the city first to get extensions from the city with respect to building permits, et cetera. They did that. That's attached to the end of the resolution. So what we're doing here is basically following the lead of the city. The city has given them extensions to move forward. It frankly doesn't make much sense for the IDA. Candidly, obviously it's a vote here, but the city has given them extensions. Our extensions are consistent with the overall extensions granted by the city, and the actual extensions are described on Exhibit B of the resolution, which is page 56 of your materials. And so from a quick summary, this is exactly what we did 2 years ago, and it's in lockstep, if you will, with what the city of Kingston has done with respect to the project applicant. And with that, I'll pass it back to the chair. And I know he's had extensive discussions with the project applicant, and I know Hillary's had a lot of discussions. I don't know if I left anything out, but that's the the substance of the resolution.
I just have a question. You all front-loaded this for me today. Have the finances changed? Are the partners still the same with respect to this project? It's been 2 years since they went through and did this. I mean, is what we approved on paper, what they said 2 years
Well,
ago, the same
development
as?
company has gone by the wayside, okay? Only because the job has been sitting for 4 years. I mean, you can't expect somebody to sit around 4 years waiting to start a project. So, and this is all due to all the litigation which Joe just spoke about, I mean, I don't even know how a project tries to go on after 4 years of doing something like that and sitting around, you know what I mean? I mean, we've experienced before out in, remember the New Paltz, for the housing out there for the lease back? You remember all this stuff at the time? That was going to go out. Remember that the SUNY was going to build it, lease it back and everything like that? And Wilmerite, yeah. And Wilmerite had $4 million invested in the project only to leave it on the table and leave.
No, I understand. All I want to make sure is that the numbers that were put in the application.
Well, I think that's
2
going to
years
have to
ago.
come back to us through the applicant, Right now, what we're deciding right now is to extend it out, follow suit on what the city's doing to do an extension to get them back on track.
But shouldn't we see that before we?
Well, I don't think we don't have any financing terms because they don't have
We don't.
financing terms. They don't have commitments for financing. And everything is, as the chair indicated, everything is SAP. The project itself is unchanged. The dimensions, the location, the purpose, et cetera, et cetera. But in terms of whether they're getting money from KeyBank or M&T, we have no idea, and I don't think they have any idea because they're still working through that. So what I would anticipate is as we go through this 2-year period, they're going to come back to us with any modifications, and you'll get a bite at it at that time.
And we still have the sell by date policy.
Sell by date?
Yeah, the policy that we did a couple of years ago where, you couldn't come to us, get an approval, and then just
Well,
let
I don't
it
think that was the case here.
go. No, I know, because but if we do this extension, would that,
No, they can't flip it.
no,
The authorization expires?
well, what we had done, and I think it was Star Vodka, I think, where it was like it dragged on for 5 years and 5 years or however long it was, and we came up with a policy where it was like, if you don't break ground and get this started within a certain period of time, you need to come back to us and apply at a reduced rate.
At page 56,
Mm-hmm.
there's a completion date, and so there's milestones of when they need to start, when they need to finish. Yeah.
But that's one of the things we're moving.
And that's what they're,
The whole
Right.
point
that's what
of
they
this.
need. That's what they need to have moved,
Okay,
because they're not going to have this done by.
but that policy we had is it still in effect, or did you all
Was
get
that
rid of
due
that?
to was that policy due because of the wildflower project at the
No,
time?
I think
The New Paltz
honest
one?
to God, I think it was
that before
I
that?
think it was Star Vodka, and
Star Vodka?
it was because the general feeling around the table with the board members that we had, and this was before you had these projects that would just drag on and drag on. And Joe would come in,
I
and what we
honestly
did was
believe, though, that wasn't the intentions here. We all knew that from the beginning until the lawsuits hit that held the project up. I believe that project would be done by now.
yeah. No, I'm
Okay.
just wondering if that policy is still in. Do we still have that policy on the books, just in general?
I'll start. I can't remember off the top.
I don't
I'm gonna have
remember.
to look at I'll have to look at our website. Yeah.
I mean, when I went through governance, I did every policy. I don't remember that.
Yeah. Because I think we just got frustrated with people coming in and
Okay.
letting it drag for months and years.
So, Let me go all the way back to 41. So at this time, can I accept the motion? I'll look to accept the motion on approving the resolution modifications relating to the Kingston Development LLC project.
I will move to accept the resolution. Do I have to read the whole thing? Approving the resolution modifications relating to the Kingstonian project.
Thank you. Can I get a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
You abstain?
Yeah.
Okay. Should we do a roll call vote on that?
I would.
Yeah, I think so too. That's okay. Michael Ham, yes. Rachel Silverman,
Yes.
Costi Walla,
Yes.
Randall Everett,
Abstain.
Trevor Kerwin. Yes. Joe Ferraro,
Yes.
Stephen Kelly.
Yes.
Resolution is passed. Okay. Look at that. Okay, motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. You want to roll right in?
Is this still on?
Yeah.
Call to order the UCCRC, November 20th, 2024 meeting. It is 10:03. Roll call. Michael Ham, present. Rachel Silverman,
Present.
Stephen Kelly,
Present.
Joseph Ferraro,
Present.
Randall Everett,
Present.
Trevor Kerwin, and Costi Wall. Thank you. We have quorum. Mission statement of the Ulster County Capital Resource Corporation is to promote community and economic development in Ulster County in ways that complement the work of Ulster County, primarily through issuing and selling bonds for nonprofit institutions. In front of you, you'll have the minutes from the October 16th, 2024 meeting. If you take a look at them, I'll accept the motion to accept the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public comment on agenda items only. No public comment. The chair's report, let the chair's report from the UCIDA reflect the chair's report for the UCCRC. Executive director's report.
Allow the executive director's report to reflect the executive director's report from the UCIDA.
Committee reports, audit.
No report.
No report. Finance.
So for finance, we have the minutes from the finance committee meeting. If we can get a motion to approve those.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. And then in addition, is it a different update or the same update?
The same update, it
Okay.
just applies to the CRC as well.
All right, so let the update regarding our audit reflect the discussion in the IDA meeting.
Okay. Thank you. Governance.
Thank you, Chair. Nothing in addition to what we discussed in ideas, so please let the comments from UCIDA report be reflected as applicable to UCCRC discussion.
Thank you, Costu. Any old business? Any old business? Motion for adjournment?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Okay.
Are people staying for audit? We'll pause for a minute. This way we can cut it and we'll do audit. Or just like, you can keep it going.
Exactly.
Okay, it's on.
All right, so we'll call the audit committee meeting to order. It's about 10:18. And I don't know what else we have to do. We don't have to do the pledge of allegiance again, I don't think. Roll call, Stephen Kelly's here, Rachel Silverman,
Here.
Joe,
Here.
okay, and Chair is just sitting in. So, Hillary, please
Sure.
bring us up to speed on what the issue is
All
that we
right.
need to talk about.
So before you, you'll find the updated cost structure for our Loki Brill. So Loki Brill monitors the construction on the project to ensure that they meet with our local labor compliance as well. They monitor the local labor compliance. So as you'll see on the fee breakdown, did I put something wrong in there?
I'm just, and maybe you're gonna talk about this, but I'm looking at the two different, there's two different, is that how much the cost has gone up?
Yes, that's what I believe on page 7,
7 was old, 3 is the new
yeah,
one?
is the new.
It went up that much?
It did go up a lot, so,
Where is that?
So if you look on page
Page
3,
three
that's
versus
the new,
page 7.
that's the new cost. And the old cost was $100 for tier 1, now it's $500, so that's a pretty sizable increase from $350 to $750 for the one time. Well, for those kind of fees, someone else might want to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, we could put it out, we could,
Sorry.
so,
Put it out to bid, that's a lot.
4 times?
And that
That's a
makes us
lot.
less competitive.
it is a significant cost to our project, in addition to IDA fees, legal fees. The idea is that we're trying to incentivize economic development and not have projects, be cash poor. So this is where we're at. We can put this out for RFP.
That's
Did they give an explanation for such a significant
Why
jump?
would they do that?
Well, they do come on site, and they are based out of Rochester, so it could be costs to come on site.
One thought would be to talk to Ryan Silva at NYSABC.
Okay, yeah.
Because
He knows this stuff inside now.
yes, this
Yeah.
this is his lane.
Okay.
RFP is not a bad idea on this. I do know people that also do this, that were in labor, okay, and they started like consulting companies that actually monitor this kind of stuff, and it's not this.
What's the, I'm sorry, I should keep my mouth shut, but they didn't give you any justification why they went up
500%.
by 4?
500%,
Yeah.
So,
It's inflation. It's up to last.
When was the last time they had an increase?
so I will tell you that projects are currently not paying this. I'm a little confused as well. We took what he gave us and put it in here. But getting the bills every month, they're $400 per project is what projects are being billed. So
But that's at the old
That's
rate.
at the old rate.
yeah, so well, they're
So
not
we-
getting $100 bills, is what I'm saying. So even though it's gone up significantly, as per their own,
Well, isn't that a one-time thing, the
Report.
500? It's the, or is that the monthly?
so the monthly
Oh, that's the monthly
fee,
fee.
where it is still going up significantly, because I would say the majority of projects that come to the IDA are falling in that $5 to $25 million. There's a few outliers above that, but the majority would be in that.
So where's a $400 fee?
I don't see any $400
Yeah.
fee.
That was what I kind of inherited. That was
Well,
the
then-
bill that was coming in when I started.
We should take a look at that. Maybe they shouldn't be billed that much, and we should be asking for the money back on behalf of our projects. If it's only supposed to be 140, that's a long ways to 400.
So,
So maybe
You know,
there's
with that
something
much
in-
money, I'll
in-
retire and do it.
You and me both.
I'll retire and do
I
it.
think it'd be a great job.
That's crazy. It's a lot of money. The increase is what's I think it's getting
So
everybody.
let's do
But I
this.
think we're missing. Yeah, I think we're missing a
that we're
piece of
missing-
this
we're
story.
missing- I think that they must have had an increase somewhere
some
in
point
between
between
that
these
we're
two.
not recognizing. We need
Well,
to
that's
see
why I
that.
asked how long ago was it,
Exactly,
because if
yeah.
it's 10 years, then it's a little more justifiable than if it's a year,
Right.
right?
Let's see, can we get, I don't know if it's from them or how
Yeah.
else we'd find it, a clarification on exactly what projects are paying now, what today's fee structure is,
And what they're really proposing.
and yeah,
Yeah,
Because this doesn't really, I mean, that's quite a bit of difference.
and we can tell them what they've sent just doesn't seem to match with what is currently,
what our current bills that
Bills
we
are,
get
yeah.
for projects are, yeah.
And if they've been charging $400 a month for that tier, and there's not a new contract that we signed justifying that,
they're gonna owe some money.
you know, they're gonna owe the money back.
Yeah.
And they might not like that, but, you know, that's the way it goes. Because you know, doesn't seem right.
Yeah,
I agree.
But I suspect that there's some interim that was, but it has not been agreed to since I've been here.
no, and this is the first time they've sent us anything about a change. They said, hey, these are our changes going forward for new projects, so,
So I think we should, before we
Well-
put it out to bid, we should get an update from them.
Yeah.
So we know what we're talking about.
we have I would say we have a small window. It's not the biggest window in that we want to make sure we have a firm in place before we induce any new projects. Because
Just
that's
so-
gonna be,
So
Right.
why don't we could put it out to bid. I mean, so what if we put it out to bid? But I still think we need to understand
What
how
this
we
is.
got from what we thought we were paying.
Yeah.
Or what our projects were paying to what they are paying. Because to go from 400 to 375 is not an increase, or, well, it
it's
is a big
significant,
increase. It's a
yeah.
huge increase. For 950 to 450 to 950? I mean, over what period of time, as Joe pointed out? Something isn't right.
Yeah.
Even 450 to 950 sounds like a pretty big step up,
Yeah, we're missing a chapter.
maybe more than one chapter. It was-
Yeah.
Hillary says they've been billing 450. 450 to 950 is,
Can we pick Joe's brain really quick for a second? Joe, can you tell the group what we did previously to having a Loki Brill? Do you remember? How we did our compliance?
I think you're playing stump to Joe Scott.
No, I'm not playing stuff to Joe. I thought you did actually remember. I really did. So our compliance issue,
involve me
our
in a hard
compliance
hat.
thing was pretty much, showing up on the project and going, okay. And, we did this just to streamline it a little bit more.
Oh, to make it more professional, and also.
That's
they-
correct.
They would go in and open up the books and.
But
They do.
they do, but and once again, I don't have a beef with Loki Brill. I think they did a good job, but I think this is a little crazy. It's a lot out of bounds without getting an explanation. But the thing about it is, anybody in this room, we could pull up on this project and go in the job trailer
We can, right.
and go, this is what we need. Now, some people might say, well, you're not going to get it. And we'll go, well, according to public,
Yeah, just the
we
documents.
need it. And there's a board posted with all your workman's comp and all that stuff.
okay, so I
So-
don't wanna, I apologize.
No, I'm
So
just.
I'm reading the email that he had sent when we had asked for this. He said these are proposed budget changes for all new projects going forward. As a result of inflation, we've had to adjust our pricing schedule, which we have not altered since our original proposal was sent in 2019. I have two attached proposals, so that's why they're different. One is for projects subject to local labor monitoring, and one is for insurance tracking only. So that is not,
Oh,
That makes sense.
I apologize. He sent this a while ago and it was not fresh in my mind. So that's why the two. So that's not as significant, I would say. One is for insurance tracking only. If there is a particular process that we need to go through on this, please let me know. So I'm hoping
so
that
what
clarifies.
it would be.
What do those differences mean to us?
Helpful for us to know how much did it go from and to.
Right.
Because that's, I mean, if it's reasonable, I speak for myself, I would be okay with that. Because I
Yeah, that's
don't, not against them at all. But if it seems like it's pretty high, then I think we should go to bid.
The question I would ask though, how long have we been with Loki Brill?
Since 2019.
2019.
So 5 years.
Yeah.
So do we owe it to ourselves to see what else is out there after 5 years?
I think we do.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it looks like
So-
we're, currently, these are doubled, approximately doubled, because I'm looking at their bills, it's, $415 for Aferia and $425 for Innis, is what?
So they double.
Inflation, yeah.
So let's put it out to bid. I mean,
It's fuzzy.
And
Can
in
I have a
parallel
motion?
to that, we get a little more clarification.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, we can
So-
have them resubmit, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so can we have a motion?
So a motion to put it out to bid?
Yes.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right.
So just real quick before we adjourn this, Joe, since they moved to put it out to bid, can Steve approve the RFP or do we have to approve the RFP before it goes out? Does the committee need to approve? Do we need to have another audit
Yeah.
committee or can I put out the
No, I would-
RFP?
No, he can authorize you to.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, that way we can
How are
get
you
that
do that?
moving. All right.
Do we have no minutes to approve? Is there any public comment? No public comment, no executive session, no old, does anyone have any old business? No old business. And we just decided to put the Loki out to bid. Is there any other business? Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank
Second.
you. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Want to run through CRC?
Oh, sorry.
Well, we have the
CRC.
CRC.
Just run through it quick.
Yep. Okay. I call the UCCRC Audit Committee meeting to order. It is now 10:30. Roll call. Stephen Kelly is present. Rachel Silverman.
Present?
Joseph Ferraro.
Present.
Thank you. We're all here. Approval of the minutes. There are no minutes to approve. Public comment. Looks like it's a little sparse today. Executive session is not necessary today. Is there any old business? Hearing none. The new business is the Loki Brill auditing budget. Can we let the minutes say, reflect the same outcome, conversation and outcome as the last meeting for the UCIDA? Well, good with that? Okay. And I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Done.
Yeah.